I'm Tanise, mother, wife, and serial entrepreneur with my hands in a bunch of different pots. If it's one thing I learned about business, it's that you don't win without war. There's always going to be struggle, and only the innovative survive. And two, you don't know what you don't know. So leveling up takes a wealth of knowledge. I'm going to show you how to manifest your dreams in multiple areas of your life by speaking to those who already have the blueprint and they're willing to drop those jewels. So join me as we go on this journey to manifesting our highest self and living the life we want.
Hey, Denise.
I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so
business.
I'm so happy that you're here. So thank you.
No problem. I remember when you first told me you were opening up a European Wax Center, and you know the challenges and getting started with your business. And now it's about to be 3 years since you got started. Congratulations to you. And in a pandemic.
Yes.
So I know that could be really challenging. So tell me about the beginning stages of the European Wax Center, how you got started, and what made you even want to do a franchise like this.
So, I've always had a interest in being an entrepreneur. I've worked in corporate jobs where I was responsible for building businesses and growing businesses, and I always wanted to do it for myself. You know, my mother was a hustler. She had a full-time job, and on the side she sold crystal, Princess House crystal. So we were always brought up with the way of, there's always something more that you can do, right, to make sure that your financial security is there. So I knew I always had it in me. And then, I am also passionate about wellness and beauty and spas. When I go on vacation, I go to the spa. People go for different things. I really enjoy that. And body waxing was something that I did. So we recently moved to New Jersey. It's not recent anymore. It's now 8 years. But when I moved here, you try to find your things, your nail salon, your hairstylist and all of that. And I was trying to find my body waxing place. Went all over the place, tried the nail salons, the service wasn't what I was looking for. Stumbled on the European Wax Center. And I was like, okay, this is, this is pretty nice. It was a professional environment. The staff, everyone greeted me pleasantly. It gave me the spa vibe, but not the spa prices.
Right.
So I was a guest for 2 years, and I would talk to the wax specialist about, tell me about the experience. What do you know about the business model? And the more I learned about it, I became intrigued. So it was like I had an epiphany one day. I said, okay, it's going to be the European Wax Center. And the reason why I chose the Newark location is because, I was doing research of where the centers are. There wasn't any in Newark. So I called corporate. I said, I want to buy a license, and I want to open up a center in Newark. And they said, no, New Jersey's sold out. And I said, how could New Jersey be sold out, but you don't have one in Newark? They never considered it, right? We can all speculate as to the reasons why.
Right.
But, and I said, this is a location that I want to open, because for me, it's important for us to have the things we need and want in our community, right? I don't want to have to travel outside my community. So, did some research, found this location. It was actually 2 spaces that I had to combine to meet the size. And, just started the process. I knew that I wanted to do a franchise because I wanted that support because I was working, full-time at the time, and, building a business from scratch. I knew that would really invest a lot of my time. So I said, okay, let's start first with the franchise and, get that under my wings, and then, I can do my own thing later.
That's
so
cool.
3 years later, here I am.
I love that. It's really interesting because, I had a salon, and prior to me getting the salon, before I even came up with the concept to do my own thing, I wanted to own a Massage Envy. And I looked into it, and they were like, we were packed in New Jersey. They were all sold out in New Jersey. So that's the thing about franchises, is that the corporation or the franchise itself decides where you can be placed at and where you can't. So you can't just say, I want to go here. It has to make sense for them, and then they have to make sure that there's not another location already there, right?
Exactly.
So I'm glad you pushed on that though, because for them to rule out Newark, and Newark is like such a big city, and especially downtown Newark is so, is so much traffic, so much walking traffic, that this seems like a great location.
It is a great location, and it wasn't a hard sell when I started to show the kind of the research of the demographic, right? There was over pandemic, there's over 150,000 people commuting into Newark to work, right? So that's the professionals, and that's not to mention the folks that live in the community. Then, when you have the Haynes building, that's now condos, you have Whole Foods there, there's Nike and Starbucks.
Yeah.
So, you're starting to see, from a corporate perspective, they started to see the Newark in a different light.
Right.
So you're absolutely right. Even if we were to erase everything I just said about those businesses coming in, this is a huge city.
Right.
It is. And we know that our communities support beauty. We'll find a way to maintain the things that we like to do. So. I'm so happy with my decision to be in this location, and year over year we're seeing the growth, and the city is really supporting us. So I'm happy.
So tell me about the process of getting a franchise. So I know you did your research and you decided you wanted to do it here, and then you contacted corporate. What type of criteria did you had to meet in order to be able to open?
So they have. So the process is, first, you have an area representative, right? So the way that it works, the area representative, they buy up a location. So they're responsible for let's say the New Jersey location. And that would be the person that I would interact with to say, okay, I need to be in Newark. That person, would kind of evaluate my financial situation, because you need to have a certain liquid capital to be able to purchase the license, because it's not only about the license, can you truly develop the location. So we went through that process. Once the license is purchased, you have a certain timeline in which you need to open. So at the time with European Wax Center is 2 years. So you have 2 years to get your financing, your build out, your location and everything. But once you have your location, they kind of walk you through the process in that, they have the whole specification book that tells you what the location should look like. They have the vendors that can help you, that you have to use to get the equipment and supplies, etc. You have to find your own contractor, to do your build out if your space needs to be built out. But as far as what's within the walls, they provide the support. And the vendors to help you purchase the things.
That's good. So all your beds and stuff like that, all of your wax and
pot,
all of that
chairs,
was provided by them.
The vendors were provided, and I purchased them.
Okay, and so but you have the flexibility of getting your own contractor, somebody you're comfortable with working with, or that you've known maybe. So that's great. So how long did it take you? I know you said you have up to 2 years. How long did it take for you?
From the time that I signed the license, it was about 8 months.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was 8 months.
Overzealous.
Because here's the thing, right? You don't want your build out and your whole process to take
forever.
You don't make any money.
I was thinking in my mind, 2 years is a long time to start something and to act just to get it up and running. It's wow. I mean, it did take me 8 years to open up my salon, but it's not a franchise.
And if you think about it, you're paying rent, right? All that time, and you want to get it open as quickly as possible so you can start making some money.
That's good. So now, how since you are franchising, the model or the blueprint is already there for you. How lenient can you go? Like, how much can you go outside to do what you want to do as far as like marketing? Do you have to do the same marketing tactics that they do? Do you have to go with the same exact products? Like, how flexible can you be on your individuality as far as this is concerned?
So as far as products, it's their products, right? Because think about the franchises, you're buying into a blueprint, right? And as the business owner, the way you run your business is yours, but the branding, the products, that's what you bought into. And what makes franchises successful is that consistency, right? So if you walk into a Newark location versus Bloomfield, it's the same look and feel. Regarding marketing, there is corporate marketing that happens at a national level. The local marketing I'm responsible for. I decide who to use, but I need to use European Wax Center collateral.
Okay.
So for example, I'm doing social media marketing. I'm using the branded collateral, but I hired the company to do it for me.
Okay. Okay. So that's cool. Now tell me about like as far as your staffing. I mean, we've spoken, I think it was like a year and a half maybe or so back about how difficult it was to find like good staff because the beauty industry just as a whole is like a revolving door with salons, with barber shops, with wax centers. So how has it been for you now with staffing?
So staffing has been a consistent challenge, and I think it's part of the industry, like you said.
Yeah.
You know, I joke because creative people, you know, they're
just whatever,
right? You know, right.
You know, whatever.
And I'm not a creative person by nature in that way, right? So you know, I had to adjust. But you know, one of the things that I've been fortunate about because of the location, there are a lot of people who are licensed esthetician and cosmetologists within the area because the state building is right across the street.
Yep.
So as from my perspective, I've been able, especially post-COVID, I've been really rebuilding my team because a lot of my team, they didn't return for, you know, personal reasons, whether it's the daycares aren't open yet, you know, they're caring for kids who are still going to school virtually, you know, caring for family members. So I had about maybe 15% of my staff returned, so I had to rebuild. Thankfully, where I am, I'm able to really attract a lot of talent. Unfortunately, being the economic environment that we're in, there's a lot of people that are unemployed. So that also helps business. Right, you know. From a business perspective, it's helpful, but it's still a challenge for, you know, so many people being unemployed.
Yeah. Are you able to go to the cosmetology boards to post? You can post flyers there, right, to promote or to promote that you are looking for staff.
Yeah, so I can do that. I've been doing a lot of kind of web advertising, Indeed, you know, some of the other web boards, the beauty schools. I go to them directly. I have a relationship with some of them so they can kind of feed me talent as well. I find that the beauty school is a really good way to get talent because fresh out of school, you know, open minds, you can really train them on the European Wax Center way. Sometimes when you have experienced estheticians or cosmetologists, it's, you know, they've already defined their way and it's kind of going
hard to kind of revert them to your thing. I agree with that 100%. Now, as far as you're concerned with how you, because I'm always intrigued by how someone finds the staff and keeps the staff because I know how difficult it is. I'm sure that the European Wax Center offers like packages as far as like vacation or insurance and stuff. So that's a plus because if you were a private establishment, you may not be able to provide that type of thing.
So the European Wax Center doesn't.
Oh,
so,
they doesn't. They
so every European Wax Center is individually owned and operated. So the business owner decides the kind of package.
Gotcha.
But you know, some of the things that I've done is I provide paid time off. You know, I provide complimentary waxing for all of my staff. You know, but I don't. So you know, kind of the retirement benefits or those types of things. That's not a corporate.
Okay.
So as far as maintaining the staff, it's really around working hard to build the culture. And because I would say maybe 80 to 90% of my staff is, you know, between 20 and 25, you know, so that's a different group. And, you know, they're really looking for something different than someone in their 40s. So really trying to work to build that culture where they enjoy coming to work. That's where I've been emphasizing and placing focus. But it is hard. You know.
Are you hourly or you offer commission?
Both.
Both.
So
That's good.
hourly and the wax specialists, they get commission and tips, as well as the guest services, they get hourly and commission as well.
Okay, that's really good. That's good. So now with the pandemic, I know you mentioned it was hard to get your staff back. You only got about 15% that return. Did you actually shut down during the pandemic, right? For how long were you shut down?
So we closed our doors March 18th and opened up June 29th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Quite a
that was
stretch.
tough. And you know, when you think about 3 months, you think, oh, that's not really that long. But just being shut down for 3 months, that changed my projection, where I was down over 50%. You know, so then you're trying to rebuild, right? You're trying to reconnect with your old guests to give them confidence that it's okay to come back. And then you're trying to bring new guests in to kind of offset that. So, you know, it was a struggle trying to, get back into the swing of things and making sure that you're starting to see the growth in the guests. But thankfully, you know, as the state opens up, people they're a little bit more comfortable. They're gaining more confidence as we proceed through this pandemic, and our guest count is increasing.
Yeah, I could imagine, because, you know, as things kind of started to open up a little bit, everybody was saying, just make sure you social distance, do this, do that. It's really hard to do that at a wax center.
Exactly. This is as intimate as it gets,
gonna get,
right? You know.
So I can imagine how hard that was for you. But what would you attest to your ability to be able to sustain yourself? Is it the planning, like just having a cushion, an emergency fund? Was it your plan that you put in place to, you know, go at it as soon as you were able to open up? Like, what do you think? Because a lot of people closed down. A lot of people didn't make it through. What will you attest to your reason to be able to come through it all?
My thinking that, you know, you hear it, cash is king, but I really live by that. You know, even in my personal life, I often joke with my friends and family that, you know, I'm that person who's going to have some cash underneath her mattress just in case something happens in this, you know, I need some money and the bank shuts down. I'm going to have some cash, you know, so for me, I've been really managing the business, really being disciplined to keep as much cash as I can. And then I think that the thing that saved me is I was proactive enough to get a line of credit before the pandemic. So I had a line of credit, I had cash, and I was able to sustain those months. That's what truly got me through, because although there was the PPP, that was not enough to sustain the length of the time that I was, you know, I was shut down. So fortunately, I was in a position where I had the cash to kind of keep going. And it's, you know, this whole pandemic has been eye-opening, because, you know, you would read in the news these big businesses shutting down, you know, going bankruptcy. And I think the average level of cash flow for these big companies was like 7 weeks, 14 weeks. You know, so I'm thankful, you know, little old me. It's like, I'm so grateful that, you know, I was able to sustain it. But it's truly that mindset of really managing your cash.
So that's great that you were able to figure that out. What you said, business, you said you had a line of credit. Was it business credit or just personal credit?
Business line of credit.
Okay. So did you just start establishing your business line of credit? Like, when did you start to establish your business credit for?
It's funny. So the pandemic happened like in March. I created my line of credit, I think it was the summer prior.
Okay. Because that's really a big deal. A lot of people do not, like, they talk a lot about business credit and how to establish your business credit so you don't have to worry about your personal credit stuff to get things that you need for your business. But I think that a lot of people are still struggling with that. One of the things that I've found that's really good in establishing your business credit is getting those net 30 accounts. Did you start there?
No, actually what I did was I went to a bank and applied for a line of credit. And so based off of my cash flows, they saw, okay, I had money coming in.
So you already had you were already in a position to just go to a regular bank and get it. Got it.
And that was my business bank as well. So I had a relationship, and at that time, and I think this is part of the challenge, is you have to have some tenure under your belt in business for the banks to pay attention to you when you're applying. So I think at that time when I applied, I was a little shy of 2 years. So I had demonstrated cash flows of almost 2 years where they had confidence that I would be able to repay.
To maintain. Okay, so that's good. Now, as far as just the overall business, where do you see your European Wax Center going? Like, where do you see this Newark location going for you?
You know, for me, my goal, and I'm always like a aggressive goal person. So, you know, my goal for this year is to get us to a $1 million store, which is truly aggressive, you know, but my strategy is I set my sights high. If I fall short, I'm still above, you know, the average expectation. But I really want this location to be the location of choice for the city of Newark, you know, and like you said, it's a huge city and the opportunities there. It's just a matter of making sure that we're known and we're connecting with the community to remind them that this is a Black-owned European Wax Center in the city of Newark, you know, which seems like a contradiction, you know, but and really, you know, have the city support us in that way.
So how else do you market to get the city to know about you?
So right now, I mentioned I do social media marketing. I have local marketing from the city's version of a Chamber of Commerce, Newark Regional Business Partnership, where all of the businesses in the city of Newark, they're a part of that. But I also try to get connected with some of the events that's happening with the city now, not so much, but it's something I want to focus on as we get further through this pandemic.
Okay, so that's good. And I'm sure you're like doing like activities or community like give back or
so
stuff like that.
We have a relationship with I Have a Dream Foundation that's based in Newark, actually across the street. I also have a relationship with the Newark Emergency Services for Families, which provides kind of wraparound services. So we've done clothing, coat drives, you know, Thanksgiving food drives, etc. And I'm working to build more relationships because it's really important to me. We're in the city and we need to support the city. You know?
Did you left your corporate job?
Nope.
You're still working your corporate job?
I'm still working.
Oh my God, full time?
Full time.
Oh my goodness.
So that's also the struggle, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I did the same thing with the salon for all 5 years, so I know it's really hard.
And you know, it's a big decision to kind of figure out, okay, when is that right time to make the leap?
When is the right time? You have an exit strategy, exit plan?
I have a plan that I've been tweaking and going back on. You know, COVID kind of disrupted my plan a little bit. You know, so you know, for me, I have no reason to be drastic in making a shift. So as long as it works, continues to work, I'll continue to do what I do.
Both. I hear that. So tell me, for someone who wants to own a franchise, whether it be European Wax Center or Subway or Blaze or any other type of franchise, what some of the tips or the things that you would definitely tell somebody to make sure that they're doing if they're going to start looking into owning a franchise?
Yeah, you know, I would start with franchises are usually not inexpensive. It takes a pretty big financial commitment and just really making sure that your financial house is in order for that. And, you know, it's not about, you know, you're opening a franchise and you have cash flow for a couple of months. You have to plan to make sure you have enough cash flow for at least 6 months. So I stress that point. The other point is really do your research on the support that they give you. The European Wax Center is great from a corporate support perspective. What I'm paying in royalties, I'm getting that and then some from the support for the corporate team. So you want to make sure that you're getting that because you're making a really big financial investment. And you know, really do your homework and build out a business plan. Just because it's a franchise doesn't mean you don't need to do your homework. Really go through the process of building out your plan and making sure that you have a solid plan in place. You know, that would be my advice.
You mentioned royalties really quickly. So with the royalties, you pay into the franchise monthly Or is it
No,
yearly?
it's like the tax man. They just go and dip into your account
Whenever.
You know, on a monthly basis, they take their money. You don't write the check.
It's a percent, right?
Right.
Okay.
So it's a certain percentage that you pay off of your sales into pay it to corporate, and that's your royalty.
And that goes towards them providing you with the resources for marketing and
That's right.
vendors and, you know, all that
That's
stuff,
right. The infrastructure, the technology infrastructure, the vendors that supports that, that all goes into your royalty.
Okay. And then, but other than that, everything else is based off of sales from here. Like you don't get like a bonus from just being a part of the wax center, right?
Yeah.
It's just all sales.
The sales.
Okay.
So if you do a good job in your sales, then you get a bonus as a
Yeah,
business
for
owner.
yourself.
If you're sucky, then you get no bonus. and corporate gets paid regardless, right?
Regardless. So they somehow find a way to take nothing from you.
Right. So back to the point of doing your homework,
Yeah.
right? You want to make sure you know what that royalty percentage is. And then you're thinking about your projections of sales. Okay, am I going to be able to cover my royalties and then, eat, you know?
Does that start right away or do they give you time?
No, it starts right away.
No. Okay.
And no ramp up.
Right. All right. Okay. Well, you did it. And I'm super, super, super proud of you, especially for this to be Black owned. And I know how hard it is to start a business just period from scratch, but a franchise is a whole nother ball game. And like you said, it takes a lot more money and a lot more having your stuff together as opposed to like when you're in your private business, a personal business, you can kind of wing it.
Right.
You know, people say have 6 months, a year, but if you don't have it and you get started, you can do that.
Right.
But with the wax center, you literally, or franchise, you literally can't. Your numbers have to make sense. Also, credit had to be pretty good, right?
Yeah. Because that's what they're doing. They're evaluating you while you're making the bulk of the investment. They want to make sure they're going to be able to make money from that center as well. So they're evaluating you to making sure that you can cover those expenses to even get the doors open.
Yeah.
You know, because as you know, everything costs. So you got to make sure that how you look on paper, it's an attractive option for them as well.
Or would you consider having another location? Maybe not in New Jersey because they're all sold out, but another state?
Yeah, I definitely would. Actually, I think Newark is big enough to have another location.
Yeah,
and the good
I think so too.
Yeah, and the good thing about me being in Newark, for the radius that I have, it's still a huge market space as far as residents and support. So maybe that'll be something I'll consider in the near term.
That'll be cool. I personally, I love the wax center, and I love that, that, like I said, that you're in the heart of Newark, a really nice area located, because location is really, really, really a big deal for any business, but especially for a franchise. It's because you want to make sure that you're making your mark every month. Besides just like with everything that the blueprint that they've set out for you, is there anything that you didn't like? Like, is there anything that you didn't really like? Like, do you love the products? Do you love the blueprint? Was there anything that you were like, you were iffy about, but you still went with it anyway? No,
I love the European Wax Center. I love the products. The thing that was an adjustment for me is the structure. Like you said, when you open up your own business, you have full creative control, and that creative control is limited because of that blueprint, right? So that was a big adjustment for me, because at first when I started, there was some frustration within myself, like, I can't do this, and then I got to the place where I was like, this is a proven business model that works. Follow the model. Why going against the grain? Follow the model. They've done this time and time again. It works. So that was the struggle for me. And then I had to remind myself, I bought a franchise for a reason, right? To give me that structure and support. But as far as the products, I was a guest for 2 years, so I love the products. I love the service. Okay. So it's me, trying to be creative. You had to get your ego out the way, right? And just follow the blueprint, right? Which is a really good tip for someone, because a lot of us we think we got the best plan. Like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but like you said, you bought into it for a reason. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. Exactly. And that was an ego, adjustment that's needed. And I think, as business owners, aspiring business owners, there's a certain level of ego that needs to come into that just to help you push through the process. So that was the ego check. Okay, Sunita, you know, just follow the blueprint, try it out, and it works.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Sunita. This has been great information, especially about franchising. Like I said, I wanted to do a Massage Envy, but they told me it was sold out, so I never got a chance to really see like behind the scenes of what it would take. But you definitely gave some really good insight today. So it was nice talking to you, and I'd love to see like just a little bit of your space if you don't have any clients in the room, some of the rooms.
Sure. Well, thank you for coming down and checking us out. Really appreciate it. Congratulations to you.
Thank you
on this new venture, and I'm excited to see what else you're going to be at.
There's always something.
Right. It's always something good, though.
But thank you for having me.